Hey, what's going on, guys? After Tesla announced its Bitcoin purchase, everyone is wondering who is next. In this video, I will answer that question, then I will explain at what date Bitcoin is likely to top at this bull market, and finally Michael Saylor will explain how Bitcoin will reach $7 million a coin. This video is presented by BlockFi. BlockFi provides financial products for crypto investors such as high-yield interest accounts, USD loans, and no-fees trading. With BlockFi, you can get up to 8.6% APY. It works with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, or stablecoins. Do you need cash? Now you do not have to sell your crypto and pay high taxes. With BlockFi, you can use your crypto as a collateral to get a cash loan. Now, BlockFi utilizes ACH that will enable users to connect their bank accounts with BlockFi and deposit/withdraw funds into/from BlockFi with no fees. Also, just recently Visa partnered with BlockFi to release a new credit card where users will receive 1.5% back with Bitcoin. Right now, you can earn up to $250 of crypto bonus when you open a new account and sign up with the link blockfi.com/Aimstone in the description box below. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today. Let's start with the Bitcoin price action. As of the time of this recording, Bitcoin is trading slightly over $44,000 a coin. The highest Bitcoin was trading at more than $48,000. It's very close to break $50,000 milestone. Bitcoin price is fluctuating nicely upwards in this trend, and there is also a great chance that this trend will likely to continue into the future. And here is why. First time around August, MicroStrategy announced that they bought $500,000 worth of Bitcoin. Then in October, Square announced they bought $50 million in Bitcoin. Also around the same month, PayPal started accumulating Bitcoin for cryptocurrency services. Their BTC accumulation is ongoing. They continuously buy more and more Bitcoin. And around December, insurance giant MassMutual buys $100 million worth of Bitcoin. And finally, in January 2021, the biggest single-time purchase of them all so far, Tesla, buys $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Remember, they bought Bitcoin back in January on average price of around $34,000 per coin, so they already made a decent gains. So altogether they bought 43,000 Bitcoin. However, Tesla is not the biggest corporate Bitcoin holder. MicroStrategy is. MicroStrategy over time accumulated more and more BTC and issued $400 million of convertible notes. MicroStrategy right now has more than 71,000 Bitcoin. This is going to be $3.2 billion worth of BTC. So, who is next? There is also a rumor that Oracle might be next. You see, Elon Musk has a huge influence, and he is a good friend with Larry Ellison, who is CTO of Oracle and also a Tesla board member. Right now, Oracle has more than $43 billion of cash on their balance sheet. They can definitely allocate 10% on Bitcoin purchase. There is also a rumor that Apple, the largest company in the world, is already moving in the direction of adding more financial services regarding crypto. In fact, it is part of the lobbying group that advocates on behalf of the big tech fintech companies. It already powered its Apple Pay platform, digital wallets, and popular Apple cards. One security analyst at RBC Capital Market believes that Apple should follow Tesla and move into crypto by buying Bitcoin and launching crypto exchange. Apple has $90 billion of cash on their balance sheet. If they would spend 10% of the balance sheet into the Bitcoin, that would be $9 billion purchase. This is what would happen if Bitcoin were to replace some portion of cash of S&P 500 Corporation's balance sheet. 10 basis points or 0.1% would not really do anything. If Bitcoin replaces 1% of S&P 500 corporate balance sheet, then Bitcoin would gain additional $50,000 per single coin. So, as of the current price, Bitcoin is trading at around $44,000, so 44,000 plus 50,000, that would be $94 plus $1,000. And how about 10%? If 10% of total cash of S&P 500 corporate balance sheet would move into Bitcoin, then Bitcoin would increase by additional $400,000. And that would put a single coin at the price of around $444,000. If that would happen, Bitcoin's market cap would be slightly less than $9 trillion. That is slightly less than gold's market cap. It's 2021 so far, Bitcoin and Ethereum crashing gold and stocks. In 2021 year to date, gold is actually down by 3%. S&P 500 is up by 6%. Dow Jones is up by 4%. FANG stocks are up by 7%. And Bitcoin is up by 60%. However, Ethereum is up by whopping 141% year to date. This is nuts. Here is another very interesting chart that may give us some ideas where Bitcoin may top in this bull market run. In 2012, Bitcoin dropped from the bull market. It found the bottom at low of $2 per coin. Then it increased till $11 at the first Bitcoin halving that took place in late 2012. The distance between low and first Bitcoin halving was 375 days. Then Bitcoin continued its bull market run. It increased from $11 all the way till $1,100. From the first Bitcoin halving till the top, it took 368 days, just 2% less the number of days between the low and first Bitcoin halving. After the top, Bitcoin went into the bear market and found its bottom at $200 per coin. Then Bitcoin increased till $650 per coin at the date of the second Bitcoin halving. From low till second Bitcoin halving, it took 539 days. After the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin continued its bull market, and it reached the top all the way till $20,000 per coin. Between the second halving and the peak, it took 526 days, also around 2% less than the number of days between low and the Bitcoin halving. Now let's move on to the current Bitcoin cycle. After that $20,000 top, Bitcoin went into another bear market and found the bottom of around $3,200. Then BTC increased till $8,500 at the date of the third Bitcoin halving, and it took 513 days. 2% less, that would be around 503 days. So if the history plays out once again, then Bitcoin should reach the top sometimes in late September 2021. Here's another cool fact. We already know that between first Bitcoin halving and the top, Bitcoin increased by 100x. And what about Bitcoin performance between low and high? Between low and high, Bitcoin increased by 550x. In the second cycle, between second Bitcoin halving and the top, Bitcoin increased by only 33x. However, between low and high, Bitcoin increased by whopping 100x. In the third Bitcoin cycle, the bottom was at $3,200. I remember that time very well, because as contrarian investor I was loading up on Bitcoin. I already made more than 14x from that purchase. As we can see that from cycle to cycle, the rate of returns between low and highs decreases. First we had 550x, then we had 100x, and I think we can probably make another 70x in this cycle. 70x from the low to the top, that would be $220,000. I know we do not know the exact future, but as more and more corporations buy in Bitcoin, the price will increase more and more. Now, let's take a look at this most recent Michael Saylor interview right after Tesla purchased Bitcoin. Let's take a look what Michael Saylor had to say.
Quote, Elon Musk, if you want to do your shareholders a $100 billion favor, convert the Tesla balance sheet from dollars to Bitcoin. That tweet helped lead to Tesla's big disclosure yesterday. Michael Saylor, who believes other CEOs will soon follow Musk's high-profile lead, joins us now. Michael, fantastic to have you on the show. How should we view Tesla's decision and what it means for others?
Well, we're in an environment where the money supply is expanding at 15% a year or more, and we expect that to continue for the next 4 to 8 years. So for corporations that are cash rich, cash is the dilutive asset on the balance sheet. It's losing 15% of its purchasing power every year. So by converting a non-performing asset into the best performing asset, which is Bitcoin, they convert a dilutive asset into a accretive asset, and it's really good for shareholder value.
So you're basically saying you prefer to have volatile appreciation versus stable depreciation if the value of the dollar is falling?
I think that's well put.
But what about the risk profile of Bitcoin? I mean, if you're talking about treasury departments for these corporates, and Tesla perhaps is a separate issue, traditionally what they'd invest in is short-term instruments, hold it in cash because they want to preserve capital.
You know, the world before March of 2020 was a different world where we had low monetary expansion and high interest rates. And the world for the next 8 to 10 years looks like a world where we're going to have low interest rates, high monetary inflation. And it's nearly certain that cash on the balance sheet is going to lose 75 to 80% of its shareholder value. And so switching it out to a digital asset like Bitcoin, which has been going up more than 200% a year on average for the past decade, it might be short-term, a little bit volatile, and certainly it's new, it's a paradigm shift. But if you're looking out for the long-term interest of your shareholders, I think they would prefer that you double their money every 6 months than lose 75% of their money with a guarantee over the next 8 years.
I mean, do you think the Federal Reserve should be asking big questions of itself here, where it's a better investment decision to invest in an asset that's, 13 years old versus something that the government itself issues? I mean, I know this is part of the thesis why people are getting so excited about Bitcoin and those that believe that fiat currencies are being debased. But the Federal Reserve surely has to take action here when this is the argument we're making.
Well, you know, I think the story here is that Bitcoin is digital gold, and it's engineered to be like gold, but superior to gold in all aspects. And it's also the world's first digital monetary network. So imagine a block of $1 billion of gold that moves at the speed of light, that you can program 1 million times a second in order to provide a framework for the 21st century finance system. This is monetary technology. And just like all big tech, it's making financial systems more efficient. I don't think it's going to replace the dollar. I think that what's happening is Bitcoin is replacing gold as a non-sovereign store of value running on a big tech network.
How quickly do you think other corporates decide to invest in digital assets like Bitcoin? And do you recommend diversifying? It's not just about Bitcoin, there are other options.
It took us months to work through the issues, and we uploaded our corporate playbook for Bitcoin and open sourced it to the rest of the world, and now it just takes days. Last week, we had 7,000 different firms attend our Bitcoin for Corporations Summit. The materials have gone viral with 250,000 or more views in just a matter of days. And I think 1,000 companies adopted Bitcoin as digital gold after March of 2020, and there's a stampede on in 2021. So it's a story you're going to hear. The difference after March is that those fiat currencies are weakening at a more rapid rate. In essence, the cost of capital tripled after March, and so conventional treasury approaches that worked for a decade have to be reconsidered, and that's why you see 1,000 companies embracing Bitcoin as digital gold.
Tesla is an S&P 500 company. What proportion of S&P 500 companies do you think switch to putting some of their cash on their balance sheet into digital assets, and over what time horizon? Like, when do we get 5%, 10% of those companies doing this? Because it is a shift and it requires board approval.
Yeah, public companies take longer. Sometimes they take 3 to 6 months, depending upon their situation. I think that this is a trend that's going to run for the next decade. And this year, you're going to see many public companies do this. We saw Tesla, we saw Marathon, we saw Square, we saw MicroStrategy. I think that you'll see double, triple, quadruple that number come. And then I think every year that follows, traditionally, Bitcoin's growing 200 to 300% a year. I think if you crank in a 200% growth rate across all the various dimensions of growth, you'll see that continue for the next 5 years, and then it will taper down to 150 and 100, and then 50, and then 30, and then 20. It's a story for the decade.
You know, if I look at you specifically, and you're a software company, and I look at your share price and I look at the price of Bitcoin, and the two charts basically match. And so I guess a critic would look at this and say, actually, your fundamental business now has become a sideline and you're a digital stock. What would your response be, Michael?
We have two strategies. One strategy is to grow our software business, and that is a good business, makes a lot of money, and it is growing. And our second strategy is to acquire Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the emerging dominant digital monetary network. it's going to be 100 times bigger than Google or Facebook. And
I do think Michael Saylor had the main influence on Elon Musk to convert some Tesla's balance sheet into Bitcoin. Also, Michael Saylor believes that Bitcoin over time will be 100 times bigger than Google and Facebook. Current Facebook market cap is at around $770 billion. 10 times that would be more than $77 trillion. In that case, single Bitcoin would be at around 3.5 million bucks. Google current market cap is way bigger, is at $1.4 trillion. $1.4 trillion times 100, that would be 140 trillion, in which case a single Bitcoin would be at around $7 million. This is insane. Let me know what do you guys think about those Bitcoin price targets. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash that like button and subscribe for more videos.